This is the all-new Mercedes GLB, a new mid-size SUV. What is it actually? Is it somehow related to the GLC? Is it a successor of the GLK? Is it a small GLS? Or is it just a pumped-up B-Class? We will explain you all about it in exterior and interior, different versions, different colors, different exteriors, different interiors. Will be very exciting. Tune in now in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In the front, the new GLB has a very strong appearance. It is more now an angular design, whereas, for example, the GLC has rather round shapes and is a little bit sportier from the whole design setup. It's very interesting because the GLK formerly looked very angular. So design-wise, I think this can be a real successor of the GLK. But there will be more interesting aspects about it. Here, headlamps start still from halogen, optional LED, optional is the multi-beam LED, and there's also a special function for it then, because the so-called off-road light, if you pick the highest trim, that one then goes up to a speed of 50 kilometers an hour. When you have picked that function, then it also lights up the turning light, so you have both on both sides, so you have a special lighting then when going off-road in very dark trails at night. Well, who will use this function? I don't know, but just telling you that it's actually available. Here also interesting, this red vehicle here is the AMG-Line. You can see the diamond pin grille here in the front and also the stronger contrasting lower bumper there. We will soon also show you other versions. You've already seen some of those in our intro. Very interesting, but this AMG-Line, the diamond pin grille, is always very beautiful, I think. 4.63 meters, 15'2" or 182 inches is the length of the all-new Mercedes GLB. And now it gets really interesting, because if some of you might know the length of the GLC, you say, wait a minute, that's practically identical to the GLC length. So what is this vehicle for? Well, if we look at the platform, this one here is based on the A-Class sedan. So let's say the little bit longer compact class platform by Mercedes. So it is somewhat, relative to a B-Class also, that is put higher as an SUV. But as I said, just with a little bit longer wheelbase. The exterior length then, yeah, somewhat similar to a GLC, but with more space on the interior. We'll soon show you more about that. And also optional 7-seater. I'll show you the difference between 5 and 7-seater. So very interesting. And here in the side profile we can see is also, built higher and again more angular. As for the shape, you don't have this SUV coupe shape, somewhat to say. Then the strong shoulder here. This design on here reminds us a little bit of the very big GLS. So design-wise, I see similarities indeed between this GLB and the GLS. This one again, as I said, the AMG line with optional 20-inch wheels, the biggest one that are available here in black, contrasting wheel arches to get this off-road look. And indeed, it has also some off-road functions, although this platform here is front-wheel driven. The normal distribution would then be, in the normal driving mode, 80% front, 20% in the rear, so rear on demand. In the sports mode, 70% front, 30% to the rear to get a little bit more rear-wheel drive, and off-road 50-50 maximum. And when we continue on right here, you can see the tail lamps start already right there. Let's take a look at the rear. Now to this rear side perspective. Again, you can see it's really built very high, stressed on a lot of headroom on the inside. Will this be true? We will soon find out. Then those tail lamps, they look identical to the one we see in the GLS or in the GLE. Chrome line here, AMG line then features a diffuser in the lower part, then this honeycomb structure right there, and different fake exhausts, so they're all fake here. but they look different to the other fake exhausts that are also available. I'll soon show you that with a white vehicle. That's very interesting. Well, AMG-Line, I think, sporty, yes, but the design here overall, you can see, is not set on a sporty emphasis, more really on the practical focus. Again, somewhat similar to a B-Class, I would say. So, what can we say? Somewhat I put a B-Class, then design-wise similar to a GLS, in length similar to a GLC. Yeah, it's very interesting. And of course, somewhat in this high building style, a successor of a GLK. Yeah, I mean, it's a hybrid in some of the ways. But when we look at the interior, you will see that it somehow makes sense. And also, if you think about the market, this one here is also in China, thought out to be a main market. And there they appreciate the 7-seater option, for example, when they go on the weekends with the whole family or so. So, very interesting. By the way, it will be built in China and Mexico. Then in China for the Chinese market, Mexico for all of the rest of the world where it's being sold. Now the rear perspective, where you can see that it's somewhat narrow in this top part here. I think the tail lamp design is pretty modern. It's just maybe it's probably not the most beautiful SUV from the side and from the rear. I think we can agree on that. Can we? Please leave me your comments right there. But again, it will have an effect on the interior. Suspension-wise, by the way, you get a base suspension, but you can also opt for an adaptive suspension. That might make sense if you want to, have some money spare. You have a wider span or a wider variety, but also the base suspension will do just fine. And here we can see how the GLB fits in the whole Mercedes SUV lineup. This one here is the GLA, the smallest one. And you can see, rather crossover, not really high as an SUV. The GLB, you can see already a true SUV, as for the whole position and also design. Then the GLC, as I said earlier, somewhat similar in length, but more trimmed on a sportier note and positions a little bit higher in the mid-size segment then. But the GLB will be less expensive than the GLC, also a very important point. Then the GLE, this one already in the full-size SUV segment, at least for European taste. From the front, of course, you can see they are all somewhat similar. This is also intentional. And this one here also my favorite color, Thomas Blue or Kevin Side Blue. This one the GLS, the newest sibling. And this one there also somewhat the same as the GLE, just a little bit longer. And finally, the true off-road SUV. Is it even SUV? Here now also with a special chrome bar in the front, the G-Class, and you will find all the reviews here also on Autogefühl. We will link the different SUV reviews. You just need to click on them. And we always like to show you some more variation. Here a car in white. I think some vehicles look better in white, some look worse in white. What's the case here? Tell me in the comments. This one's also the so-called Special Edition 1, a launch model, together with those orange rings about the 20-inch wheels. So a very interesting approach here too, but only available directly at launch. Also has this black contrast roof right here, by the way. And another perspective from here, I think it is more and more, to me, becoming a small GLS design-wise, especially if you look at this area here. And here now a third color for you, of course my favorite one for today. Also 20-inch wheels, so all 20-inch wheels today, but different styling. So which one is your favorite color here for today yet? And another perspective here from the rear. And I think those tail lamps works especially well in contrast to the blue color here. Also this chrome lip right there. And you can see here chrome fake exhaust tip in another styling. So what do we have under the hood here? Basically they use the same engines as also the other compact class vehicles at Mercedes. We will start here with the GLB 200, the 1.33 liter 163 horsepower, 7-speed DCT. This one is supplied by Renault. Then the GLB 250, this is a Mercedes engine, 2 liter 224 horsepower, 8-speed DCT. This is also new and updated. And then on the diesel side, GLB 200D, 2 liter 150 horsepower, 8-speed DCT, and the GLB 220D, 2 liter 190 horsepower, 8-speed DCT, and both of the diesels are the Mercedes diesels. So it's nothing very spectacular engine-wise. This is also a big difference then to a GLC, where you also get performance engines, 6 cylinders, and of course recently we also showed you the top trim version with the GLC 63. You can also check out this video. This one here remains all the way with the 4 cylinders. That's a big difference, but then you can see they also have this shorter hood, and the shorter hood makes more room in the interior. That's a big difference then. This is the car key, slim and nice in the build quality. You can open the car also with your phone, with NFC, if that's possible. Other than that, normal keyless entry. Put your hand on the outside to close the car, on the inside then to open it. Then, as I said, it's the AMG line, also on the interior. Nice leather red cover right here. And this one also, it feels so great, feels so soft, and it's not from animal origin. You have to check it up, have to look it up, that you really believe it. But, it's true. When I say it, it's true. I looked it up. Actually, in this case, it is leather red, and it's really great material. And there you can see that this is also the future. Here you can see this cylindric form at the inside of the doors. And this one is basically a B-class door. We already see that. It's pretty much upright and leaves room on the interior. Also reasonable space for the bottles. And then also special interior here. Steering wheel with the integrated Distronic on the left side. Then all the columns we also know from A-class or B-class. Soft touch here at the dashboard. Soon more to this dual screen setup. Now to those seats, very special. There are different seats available. And for example in Europe also fabric seats. There are also Artico leather red seats, or called MB-Tex in the US. And those ones we can see here. Again, this one also. No one would ever know that it's not from animal origin. It's so soft for the touch. In the contrast color, also white interior, like on the outside. It's really good. So Tesla and Mercedes are leading the way with more animal-friendly seating surfaces. And it's just as good as the former real thing. So no one is using whale fat to lighten up lanterns anymore today. And the same we will think about leather seats in about 10 years when we see so great examples for that. Also what is available in the AMG line here, that you get dynamic microfiber on the inside, and this same leather red here on the outside, that it will also be available. So pretty cool as for the first look. And let me get inside. In this GLB, I mean, it's already giving you an SUV feeling. You sit somewhat high and you have a lot of room. This one here does have the panoramic roof. And although it has the panoramic roof, there's still enough headroom. 1.86 or 6'1". Subscribers will know that already. And then steering wheel here. You can adjust it in a manual way, but it's a very, very easy process actually. And it's really very comfortable here. And thinking about the compact Mercedes cars, when you're actually as tall or taller than me, sometimes I felt, that's not the most comfortable experience, but this is now different here with this SUV style, because you sit more upright. The same was the case also with the B-Class. The B-Class so far, I think the most comfortable compact Mercedes, and this one comes, somewhat the same experience, just that it's a little bit higher. So, as for the comfort, then you already see why this design on the exterior somehow makes sense. Interior overview. We basically know this from the other compact class platforms, so the A class, the B class, CLA, and so on. You can see this dual screen setup, which is the biggest one that is available. And on the right side, you also have a touchscreen, but you can still control it with the lower knob as well. And then you also have the new voice input. I can also give you a sample of that. On the left side, then you can, for example, use your thumb here on those pads. Also for the right side, you can use your thumb here, right and left thumb then overall. So different redundant methods to control everything. There's also a head-up display available, optional. And the new design element here is basically this one here, which looks somehow like a cylinder in aluminum style here in this case, next to those turbine vents, which also have ambient light inside. The climate unit is still somewhat manual with nice clicking sound. And in the lower part, you have an inductive charging pad for your smartphone, some cup holders, then this touchpad where you can also write, for example, an address, but again, voice input is also possible. Hotkey to the GPS, for example. You can pick the different driving modes here as well. And then there's also an armrest, splits like this, and with two USB-C devices in there. Head-up display is an option, as I said. You can have the current speed, the allowed speed, and also some GPS info when a route is running. Here just very small to see, but good in your line of sight. And the digital instruments right there, top trim. You can have different functions for those. For example, you can also change the whole style of that. But I really like the classic one. But if you rather prefer it sportier, then you can have it like this. Or maybe also, I have to go back there again, like in this progressive style. So you can play around with that a little bit. And the good thing is, of course, that it also shows some GPS information if you have a route running. Infotainment system up close. Again, you can do it like this, or with the right thumb then at the steering wheel, or with the lower pad. All has the same effect. That's pretty interesting. Look at the GPS. The moment here, road, no map. We're in the middle of nowhere, so to say, in Utah. So all best greetings to our fans in the US. Therefore, we cannot see so much from that. But the resolution is pretty good. I can tell you that so far. When I connect my phone with the front part, there's also a CarPlay available. There we go. Takes a time. There we go. So this is the CarPlay integration. So it goes not all over the place, but I think it's still okay somewhat. So and then here you can go back to this infotainment system. And there's also, for example, this info overview when the engine is on, but I'm not allowed to do that because this car is so far just static. This comfort function here is also interesting. The seat kinetics, when you activate them, they move a little bit always during driving, just a little notch front and back, and this also works against fatigue. And then you can also activate the voice control at the steering wheel or saying, "Hey Mercedes." But then the problem here is the online service are currently unavailable. So for the full capacity of the system, you need the online connection. Here in the middle of nowhere, that doesn't work. So this voice input, rather when you also have a good web connection, then to change temperature, set a driving route for the GPS and so on. But here again, you can see the limitations when you are not online. Here the USB-C connector in the front, this is for the smartphone connection. The other ones in the rear, so overall you have 5 USB-C in this car. The other ones in the rear are just for charging. So as a precognitive function, I just read in the comments someone wanted to see how the panoramic roofs are open here. So they both open then. Of course now it's the sun against the light right there with the camera, but still you can see a little bit of that. Then the front one also opens. Let's see. Yeah, that's the maximum. And now it gets really exciting, guys. The rear. First of all, just design-wise, again, this white black, it's just very well done, just visually. I mean, for climate comfort, that the seats don't get too hot, I always recommend going for fabric or microfiber. A slick surface will get hotter somewhere, but this one here, if you want the leather style surface, this is also a perfect choice, especially in this contrast color. And the same accounts also here for the rear seats. But now, what about the space we have there? It's getting excited, and this is a very easy entry. Also, if you think about parents wanting to install some child seats, and wow, now it makes also sense why they use this compact class platform. It's front-wheel driven, doesn't have a long hood, and then you also have a lot of legroom right here left, even if the tall driver is right there. So I left the seat as I would actually have it. Then as for the headroom, again, when you have depict the panoramic roof, you would have even more. This one here still does work. There's a little bit of room left above my head. Again, if you go for the fixed roof, you will have even more headroom. You sit relatively high here. That can also be good for child seats. You can easily access them, and also children will sit quite high in the rear here and have a good view to the front, for example, all through this panoramic roof. You can also slide this bench 14 centimeters forward and backward. That's also quite massive, so you can make the trunk longer. Or for example, if you have a child seat right here, then put it a little bit more forward. Or if you have people with not so long legs, so you can vary that a little bit. Again, ISOFIX at the outside parts. And what's also interesting, I also have this ledge here, so I can either flip the seat from here, or I can make the angle a little bit steeper like this when I want to sit upright, or more in this laying back position. So both is actually possible. Then here in the middle part, you have an armrest with cup holders that fold out like this. You can also just flip the middle seat. That is also possible. Thomas, how can you sit in the middle part? That's also a question sometimes. Well, there is a middle tunnel here because there's an optional all-wheel drive next to two more USB-C and a real power plug here with the European version. Air vents, and then, well, the middle part here is somewhat soft, I have to say. Headroom-wise, it also works. The outside seats are, of course, more comfortable, but indeed you can use this one here with 5 adults. This one here is the 5-seater setup. So we'll show you the trunk of that one first, and then we'll hop over to the 7-seater and see how that one plays out. This is also very interesting with this vehicle. So this is, together with the B-Class, one of the most practical Mercedes vehicles overall. The build quality is quite nice, and you can really understand why they've used this platform and this special design of the car. I think overall this is a quite surprising mix. So what about the trunk area? You can open it like this here with a key, or also with a foot kick gesture right there. Works quite well. And then this one here, as I said, is the 5-seater setup, so you can either get a cover right here. This is then a little bit different. You can put it all the way down, then you have the maximum height. This will be like this with the 7-seater soon, I'll show you. Well, this one is nothing special underneath, but you can also put it like this to have it here in the very same height, and probably, yeah, like this. Probably I will also just leave it like this. And then we can see the length here is 90 centimeters and the height is about 40 centimeters. And the total height right here, and that's also crucial, is 76 centimeters. Next to the width, which is over a meter. So quite practical dimensions. There's a 12-volt power supply also in the trunk. This one then here has this cover also. Although it does not have the rail, well, you can move it around like this, but it's actually quite, quite strong here from this mechanism. So it's that's live. I just said it's strong from this holding back mechanism, and that's just what it showed. Yeah. So again, yeah, rails at the side are better somehow, but then again, if you have a car which has a 7-seater setup, you cannot do that. So, but you can also just remove the whole stuff. So, and then we cannot flip the seats from here. I have to go around and then do it with those latches I've shown you earlier, like this. Let's see if that's also a 2/3. You can also see this one would be one setup. Let's see if the other one... there it is. It follows basically. So, and then you can use everything this car has. Where I'm driving, let's see. This one here is 1.77 meters. That's pretty decent. So, you're very flexible with this vehicle. For the co-driver seat, there's also an option available. It's not in this car here, but there's also one available that can flip a little bit. to the front. This one in this case here is the electric one, so you can move it a little bit more forward, but that's basically it. So it might make sense then here to go for that one that you can also flip. And also some more variation here as for the interior in the brown styling here, also with some matte wood. I like that insert. And you see this B-Class style doors. So it's really a B-Class SUV, a B-Class put up. Then, as I said earlier, you can also get some Artico or MB Tex leatherette in also different colors, so you can be a little bit more sustainable there. Steering wheel here, again with a dual screen layout, so just a different styling here for you. And the same accounts here for the rear. You can see again plenty of legroom left, and also with this panoramic roof in a split way. And another interior color for you here with the beige and black mix. You can also get this one here with Artico or MB Tex. You can see it right here. I think this bright style is also very nice, but I also liked the white and black mix. And probably I will just leave it with the fabric or the microfiber for more climate comfort, but sure, does look fancy. And now we are with the blue vehicle. Well, about the 7-seater setup, first of all here with the trunk. It's actually the same. Of course, you cannot go deeper down there, but you know, you would have, as I showed you earlier, the cover right here in this height anyway, probably. There's also this hidden. There's no actually nice way to store it here. So there's also this cover available. But of course, if you have this 7-seater, you might always want to have the possibility to flip them up. You have to unleash them here, first of all. Then you can use the second lash here to pull them up like this. And then there's also some, very small trunk area left, but of course hardly any. But even more important will be, can I sit as an adult even in the last seating row? Now it gets really exciting. So what can I do in here now? When I have the 7-seater, there's a top lever right here. I can pull it one, and then I can directly also slide the bench forward like this. Yeah, this is the maximum setup. And well, getting inside then here is hello right there. It's not too easy, but it works. So, and this is also making sense now that I can slide the bench, because like this here, now I can slide also backward, and yeah, like this, it would work. It's hard to see for you. So it does fit in that way. So here again, better with the showcase. This is the setup when the bench is all the way back, and I would not be able to sit then here as a tall adult in the rear. And this then is the angle I have at the moment here. So, and it's first of all the angle, of course, and also like the width, So like, you can see the difference here. It's like this. This is exactly the difference here. So. And now the question is, headroom-wise, well, I can lean a little bit forward. That's okay. As soon as I lean backward, I hit, the ceiling. But it is actually possible to sit here as a tall adult. Maybe not for a longer-term run or so, but it's somewhat okay and really astonishing that it's possible at this length. So this somehow gets, the interior concept of like a Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace, a Skoda Kodiaq, or also a Seat Tarraco. And now, even more interesting, if I have the bench as it is right here now, like this, and maybe pulled back, can I still sit then in the front there? So this is the legroom when the bench is all the way back. And now I'll switch over to the other part where the legroom would be, or the bench would be set in a way that I could still sit on the 6th and 7th seat. And you can see, well, when I push my knees a little bit forward, I hit the seat, but it does exactly work. So, yes, I can say it is possible to drive this vehicle with 7 tall adults, even if it's just like it directly fits. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Mercedes GLB. Well, it does not offer any rear-wheel biased all-wheel drive. It does not offer anything more than 4-cylinder engines, but it offers significantly more space on the interior, more height and more length at this very same exterior length if you compare it, for example, to the GLC. Just visually, to me, it's somewhat the successor of the GLK, which was not there anymore. However, it's also somewhat a smaller GLS and also a brother in length to the GLC. So a lot of different quotations, so to say. It fits somewhere in the lineup wherever, you could also imagine lengthwise an SUV between GLC and the GLA. This one here, however, more said also that you can serve the Chinese market with 7 seats. And of course, everyone who rather want this angular design and want even more space on the inside, or maybe appreciate the versatility of a Mercedes B-Class, but still want an SUV design. So, wherever you might be coming from, I think it really makes sense. The car, especially from the front, looks already pretty strong. And again, the interior with a good build quality and so much versatility you have on the inside. But still, you do not have to drive a van, which is maybe doesn't have that much coolness factor. You can still go for an SUV and have that flexibility. And I think the most important aspect will be that this one will be way cheaper than the GLC. This might also be a reason then to go for this one, or maybe if it's somewhere close in proximity to the other compact segment cars by Mercedes, this might also be a reason to go then for the SUV version instead, for example, of a B-Class. At the end of the day, there's more choice now, and we also showed you how it's being positioned in the SUV lineup. Try to get some more explanations for that. Now we're looking forward to your feedback about the new GLB. Let's discuss it in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and also tune in when we can drive the vehicle.